way to do it. All right, man. Well, I'll talk to you later. All right, see you. Hello, Jason Christopher.
How you doing there, Mr. Stone?
I'm just wonderful. Enjoying a day off.
Hello?
That's
my daughter signed in as Elizabeth, so that's me. She does her, we share the computers and stuff.
Hey, no problem with that.
I mean, she's got it logged in under her name, so.
Okay.
I'm on here. I'm driving. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, sir. We can hear you. Thank you.
Okay.
I guess, am I supposed to admit people?
Kitty Dogood is wanting to get in. She said, can someone please resend her the Zoom link?
Yeah, let me try to do that.
It's
Todd.
kitty.dogood@ky.gov. Natalia, how are you? Awesome.
I'm doing good. How about you?
Well, days off are sometimes needed, but not wanted, but
Mm-hmm.
a little too wet to haul dirt.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. But get to go back at it at 6 a.m. in the morning.
Who you working for,
Pretty
Todd?
busy with snow and ice, so.
Woodford Excavation.
Okay.
Just, I went from supervising people for years to now all I have to worry about is myself. And
That's all right, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
I may come jump in a truck with you.
Oh, anytime.
I saw Brent. He's working up here with this company. It's doing the road work on 460.
Brent Simonis.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Lagco.
Yeah.
Todd, what is Kitty's email? I'm going to try to resend her this.
Okay.
Can you give it to me?
Sure. It is Kitty, Kitty, and it's with a capital K, .dogood, DOUGOUD @ky.gov.
Spell that one more time. DOU.
GOUD.
Eddie, can you hear me?
Yes.
I just sent it to her.
Thank you, Andrew.
I had sent it to
you
her
did?
email address instead.
Okay. Thank you, Andrew. So I don't need to send it.
No, it should have gone through. Double check.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Andrew. You are okay. Thanks, Andrew. For are you still on the line?
Yeah, I'm still here. I'm getting ready to sign off here. You got control, and hopefully everybody got their invite.
Thank you very much for setting the public Zoom call up for us.
Also, Eddie, you're live and recording. I meant to text.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
All right. Well, there's Kitty.
Sorry, I don't know where my emails from you all just like disappeared. It was bizarre.
Well,
Kitty, that's my fault. I sent it to your Gmail account instead of your.
Yeah, but I forwarded it to myself, and then I had Brennan's email somewhere. Okay, anyway. All right, so I have a question because I'm on a different computer and I'm going to type. So this other screen's going to be in front of it. And I don't know if you all can see it or if you just see me.
You just fine.
Okay. You can still see me?
Mhm.
Okay. All right. Then we're good because I didn't know if it blocked you all out when I was trying to type on this or not.
No, we're good. Okay, we'll go on ahead and get started. Connie's under the weather and asked me to fill in for her. So everybody got the minutes from the last meeting. Is there a motion to accept those minutes or corrections?
I'd make a motion to accept.
Eddie made the motion to accept.
I'll second.
Brennan seconds. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 All opposed?
Aye.
Passes. Okay, we've got a couple of guests with us. One is Patricia Mitchum and Mr. Jay Griffin. Are they with us and on the line?
This is Jay Griffin. I'm here.
Okay. And I don't see Patricia though. So, okay. Eddie, do you want to talk a little bit about what she had with the Cynthiana Road issues?
Sure. So she had called. It's been last year at the end of last year about some. She lives off of 62 out near the Lanes Run Business Park in one of the newer subdivisions out there. On out, and she is concerned about the speeding and mainly speeding was her biggest concern, particularly up and down 62. And it makes her and some of her neighbors nervous to pull out onto 62 from the subdivisions into traffic and into high-speed traffic, and was asking, if there was anything the city could do to either beef up patrols or, then she asked about, are there ever going to be any street light or stoplights on 62? I explained to her that the 62 was a state highway and it was under their jurisdiction. And that was kind of the nature of the conversation I had with her. And so I invited her to the traffic committee meeting in case she wanted to, address the whole group. So we sent her the link. And I guess maybe she couldn't make it tonight, but that's basically her concern. So
What's the name of the intersecting route?
The intersecting route.
The
Well,
city
it's
street that she lives off of. That she's.
it's oh shoot, what's the name of that subdivision out there, Ben? I forget the name of it.
There's Pleasant Valley, and then across the street,
Yeah.
Bark Meadows.
Yeah. Okay.
So is the street called Pleasant Valley?
No, she's concerned about. Yeah. Well, I don't know, Ben. What's the main?
Is she talking about where further out by Newtown? Is she off of? Is she coming from Pleasant Valley, or is she coming from?
Pleasant Valley.
Close to Country Boy, out that end where Country Boy
Right,
is.
which that's where that's the backside of Pleasant Valley.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's
Yeah, but she's. I think she lives actually in Barkley Meadows, across on the other side, in the old.
Is that the name of the street? Because when I type in a neighborhood name, that doesn't necessarily take me
Could
to.
be Barkley Lane.
But yeah, Barkley Lane, and there's two relief points. You can go out onto 62, or you can back out, and you'll end up all the way in the Lanes Run Business Park on the other end.
Mhm.
Depending on which way you go out of the subdivision. But she's concerned about the speeding,
All right.
Okay. Natalia, you want to get back with us on that if there's any issues or anything that the state's looking at or anything?
I mean, I would encourage looking at enforcement. it looks to me, just looking on Street View, I mean, we can measure site distance, but if it was a developed subdivision, I'm sure there was a permit and it was evaluated for adequate site distance. I'll go back and I can check for that, but you know, that's all I've got on that. I don't foresee us, doesn't look like it's completely developed out yet to where it would be something that we would look at for a signal. And additionally, it doesn't look like there are left turn lanes into the subdivision. So that tells me that at the time when they applied for the permit, there wasn't enough traffic turning into the subdivision or from the subdivision at the time of the permit to warrant a left turning lane. And that would be required before even looking at it for a signal or anything.
I will say that I don't know what map I'm using, Google Maps, and like what it illustrates on there is not what is currently. It's been much more populated since then. I mean, you might have something that's very, very updated, but there's actually a lot of that back, Brittany Lane and Numberland Crossing and all those back, Palumbo and all that. Their houses are up, and it is. So there's a lot more traffic than when I'm trying to think where it shows here.
Yeah, it looks like though they've got three different outlets though.
I don't think the Palumbo actually goes out to the road yet. Nick, Lieutenant Lodel, do you?
Which road was that again? Say that one more time.
The Palumbo over there, off to Cynthia. It'd be the back of like Pleasant Valley, the very, very, very back. Is that actually even open to traffic yet?
Yeah, there's an intersection, I guess, across from Barkley, and then there's another one up to the right. I can't remember if the name of that one's Palumbo, but yeah, it does connect. That second one does connect. It's a split entrance. It's got there's a median in between the two lanes.
And it is open now.
So what's also in the works right now is across from Palumbo, where the subdivision's under construction now. Todd, you've probably been over there, but they will do some turn lanes, and they've got a current permit to widen that, put another entrance in to Barkley, straight across from Palumbo. So.
Yeah, actually, that's one of the few jobs that I haven't been on yet, Ben. But but I do know that they're out there working on that. So that was one of the things I was going to bring up. So
that's the second entrance that goes back to corporate.
It is not going to go to corporate. Corporate is farther north or farther east, northeast.
Okay. Well, Nick and Jason, can you all put that on your all's list of things to maybe when time permits and officers aren't just completely run over themselves, have somebody out there and take a look?
We may want to consider, I think that stretch is 55 right now. So people probably go 65 through there. Natalia, is that something that could be possibly reduced to all the neighborhoods?
No, 62 is a major corridor. If people are already speeding, it's not going to warrant lowering the speed limit. The speed limits are based on the 85th percentile, what 85% of traffic is going. It's not just, we don't just go out and change speed limits just to change speed limits. What actually slows down traffic is geometric features, congestion, things of that nature are things that traffic calming. I mean, you're familiar with the traffic calming type of things. That's what actually is going to change speeds, not just changing a sign. So for us to change an official order for Frankfort to approve a change in the speed limit, we have to follow federal guidelines, and that dictates that it has to warrant lowering a speed based on speed studies. we get requests for that all the time, and we can add it to the list, see what people are doing out here. But if there's already a speeding problem, it's likely that they're already going around the posted speed limit.
Is there ever anything that changes it, guidelines that change it from the rural area like it was when it was created to, I guess it's inside the city limits now. It's becoming more of a residential business with the business park open and all that. Is there?
No.
Okay.
No, that's because it's still kind of rural out here. You've got neighborhoods. I mean, it's not like a downtown congested area where you've got driveways after driveways after driveways and more dense driveways or more density of entry points. You've got a density of traffic, but they come to a single entry point onto a major highway. So that kind of, that's going to have a different feel to drivers on the roadway than a higher density of entry points where you have higher density of traffic coming from multiple directions where, you've got closer cross streets, smaller distances between cross streets, and a higher density of driveways with closer spacing. So it's still a little bit, still kind of rural out here, a rural feel, and at least the roadway feels that way.
Right.
In all honesty, a big portion of it's probably still, it's the Toyota traffic, and we've got more neighbors that are there, but you're getting people coming from every direction with Toyota, and they usually, the big thing is being there on time. So you tend to get speeders. That's horrible to say, but that's where we're having a lot of these issues, just like we did on Cherry Blossom and that. So.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, if y'all can add on, just Nick, and if y'all can see what you all can do, I know that y'all will do your best. So sorry about that. How about Mr. Griffin and Oxford Road issues?
Yes, hello, everybody. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Okay, good. You can hear me. Yes, it's Old Oxford Road, and I guess I'm on this meeting. Finally, I had been trying a little bit since the end of July. I was able to get the link to the October meeting. Hey, first I want to clear, I guess Ms. Tackett isn't in. She had stated that the issue of Old Oxford Road, I believe it was a November meeting I watched. I was not provided a link to attend that meeting. And I guess it was kind of closed because they said that I was happy about the situation. And I just wanted for the record to clear that I never said I was happy about it. And I would have attended the meeting, but I did not receive a link. Actually, I've tried to attend a few meetings. Yes, so the reason I'm calling is the meeting before this that I did attend was the October meeting. And the last thing I remember was Ms. Tackett said that I had gone over a list of concerns, and she had just said, let's hold on a little while. Let's go investigate, go and see. And that's the last I've heard about it. So I do know that there was a speed billboard put out there within a week or so of that meeting. So I'm just kind of curious about what what your all's investigation and what the go and see determined. Anybody?
You there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah. I was going to say, I remember that meeting and us discussing about the issue. You've been to a couple meetings, correct?
I have been in person some years past, many meetings, include back going 10 years ago when there was a big uproar about Old Oxford Road and the speeding and the traffic and the increased traffic. And of course, it's increased probably tenfold in the last 10 years, if not more.
Okay.
But yeah, I've been to many meetings because this has been an ongoing issue. And with the increased traffic, and my location of my residence is just a tad more than 30 feet from the side of the road. My front door, bedroom windows, we're right by the road. There's a few other houses in that corridor going down from the hill past Oxford Manor, coming down up the hill where Village of Lanes Run is. The Cherry Blossom condominiums they're building right now, and the Lanes, the Mill Apartments. And of course, there's a couple other residences a new one too, that are pretty close to the road. And the traffic situation has gotten so bad that I believe it's been a big safety issue. My life has been put at risk a number of times, including Lieutenant Liddell. I apologize for getting so upset with you on the phone when you told me about the data from that speed billboard. But about 3 hours earlier, an 18-wheeler carrying construction equipment or materials to probably one of the new subdivisions down on Oxford. Although I'm going 30 miles an hour, I'm turning from Magnolia, just going, I don't know, an eighth of a mile in my driveway. And I turn my turn signal on. And when I see this big 18-wheeler coming all down the hill closer and closer, and I put my hazard signals on, and as I try to get in my driveway, he comes within 5 feet of clobbering me. Now, this isn't another car that would have hit me in the rear, and this is an 18-wheeler. And I look back, and the guy looked like he was on his phone with the CDL. He's on his phone, maybe. I don't know. All I know is he got all mad at me, and my life was like almost gone if he wouldn't have stopped. So this has gotten very bad, people. You all put the speed board out. I'm trying to understand what that did. All I saw was people speeding up. They tended to like to announce themselves. Maybe it wouldn't work if they laid on their horn. So they'll lay on their horn for about, I don't know, a couple hundred feet before it or after it. Usually about the length of my property and maybe some of the neighbor's property. People think throwing trash at it might make it not work, I guess, because the litter has been crazy since it was put up. Actually, recently, and I'm sure that maybe there has been some enforcement in the speed billboard, I've been vandalized. I had to report to the sheriff's department because I do not live in the city limits, but the road is managed by the city. My SUV was damaged, the hood of my car scratched and dented by beer bottles. Beer bottles have been broken inside my fence against oak trees where my dogs have actually, 2 of them have actually cut their feet on broken beer bottle glass. They've thrown them and busted in my driveway. I've been threatened. And after 15 years of I'm talking that speed board. I hope that speed billboard tells you how fast people are going, because they're not going 5 and 10 miles over. Some of them are going a lot faster. So when is something going to happen? Please tell me. I'm at wit's end. I guess that's all I got to say for now. All I know is you all were going to look at it, investigate it, and you hardly ever see an officer there. And if they are there, it's at 10 or 11 in the morning or 1 in the afternoon. Well, they've actually pulled people over, but there's about a 20th of the traffic that there is most of the other times of the day, the busy times. Oh, well, it's shift change. That's what's said when we call dispatch to ask if there's any enforcement. We can't do it at shift change. So please, guys, it's a really safety issue. What can be done about Old Oxford Road? Can we lower the speed limit? I mentioned to Mr. Hightower back on July 23rd, I believe was our initial conversation, and I followed up an email. I noticed that Oxford Drive, where there are many of the entry points, driveways, businesses, where there gets a little congested, right near Connector Road, going up about a mile or so, just past the Cherry Blossom houses, or some of them, where their Cherry Blossom homes are very close to the road too, about 30 feet. So it's not just safety, it's a noise issue. But I noticed the speed limit sometime within the last couple of years was lowered. Now, would Old Oxford Road qualify for that? I don't know. I drive Old Oxford Road from, maybe Abbey Drive or Abbey Road all the way down to Connector, especially that straight stretch. It seems very similar. You get to this area where it's a little congested. There's more entry points. There's a subdivision. I think there's going to be another entrance from Cherry Blossom across from Village Boulevard eventually. I don't know if it'll ever happen, but that was a long-term plan. Why can't we put a stop sign or lower it to 25 or put some speed bumps? Come on, guys. Something's got to be done. I know we haven't had police presence or enough officers due to the city and the budgets and stuff for the last 10, 15 years. But, I don't know if you all think I'm crying wolf. I was speaking to the police department, but I think you all know it's an issue, and you would think that when somebody is concerned with their safety in their life, sometimes maybe they would do a little more to try to make a little better effort. So what can be done? I'm just saying, you all said you were going to investigate Old Oxford Road back in October.
We have.
What did you all find out? So I'll be.
We have. The city, not me, but the city has been going after very aggressively a build grant to rebuild all of Oxford Road, make it wider, make it safer, put a shoulder on it, improve the drainage, bring it up to current standards. We recognize that it's kind of a rural highway, and there's been a lot of development up and down it, and there's a lot of traffic. And so, the city has invested quite a bit of money just putting the grant application together. It's a big effort to do it. And we sent it out to an outside engineering consulting firm. And we have applied for the last 2 years in a row, and are planning on reapplying this year to try and get federal highway funds into the city, with the city already obligating themselves to match the cost to rebuild Old Oxford Road on a 25%, 75% split with the federal government. So they've already committed, local funds have already been committed for the last 2 years towards that effort. Okay. And so I know it's frustrating because you haven't seen it built, but the city has done a lot of behind the scenes work to try to raise the funds that they need, the road funds that they need to rebuild Oxford Road and make it the way we would like to, bring it up to current standards. And that's what the city has done. And the efforts of putting up the speed signs, the mobile speed signs that the police department did, were done to try to bring awareness to the public to slow down in there, and that we're watching the speeding in there. So,
Eddie, let me ask Nick. Nick, what was do you have the results from that the trailer out there? Or did you do a study on it out there?
Our purpose in putting it out there was just like Eddie said, was to bring awareness. We found that the majority of the time when we put those out in neighborhoods, it's a lot of times just educating the public on how fast they are going. Oftentimes to reduce the speeds.
Okay, but it does have the capability to, with the computer on it, to do a study on as far as speed, like the big one we had years ago.
It has something on there that allows for a traffic count. It does not take pictures or videos or anything like that.
Yeah, but will it also do the count and the speed going and give you a range of the speed?
I've still got to play around with the software.
Okay, I know, because I had a tough time setting it up as well. So the speed limit currently is what, Eddie, 35 out there?
Yes, it's 35 through there.
Yeah.
Is it something that we would lowering it to 25 help or hurt that out there? What's your opinion, Eddie?
I haven't, I'd have to give it some thought, and maybe between now and the next meeting, we could take a look at it and get together, because off the top of my head, I don't know. Typically you want to do a full traffic study,
right,
and get a recommendation, and that, I guess I would probably want to have that done.
And I wouldn't want to do anything today because Connie is the chairperson.
Right. I'd want to collect some data and have it really analyzed and looked at. So
okay.
The hard thing is if you do a traffic study, they usually go 85 percentile as your speed limit for your new speed limit. And if people still speed, it might go to 45 miles an hour instead of 35 miles an hour.
Right.
And I think in the past, if Ben, you might remember, Todd, and maybe Nick does, but it was at 25 and then got voted by, was it us or city council to go back to 35?
That was the traffic committee. I was at that meeting. Yes,
Okay.
The reason it was raised was because the people of Oxford Manor, when at the time he was a Sergeant Whitaker, did himself over about a 2-week period. He actually called me twice to follow up. He said that in his career to that point, he had never seen so many people going so fast over the speed limit. fact, he was writing tickets left and right. People were angry that they got tickets. They were going 20, 30 miles over the limit. He actually told me on the phone. I guess there's a record of those tickets. It's been a long time. I don't know how long they're kept. But the petition by the people that were getting the tickets, there was only one big subdivision in Oxford Manor, and of course farms and small houses. None of the other stuff was built. And they raised such a stink, and they did a petition, and it was raised against the city engineer at the time was Mr. Larson, Eric Larson, and it didn't meet the criteria to raise the speed limit. But because there were so many people that were so angry, they decided to raise it anyway. And actually, to be honest, there was probably 30 people at that traffic committee meeting. I don't think they'd ever had so many people there. And the people did say, well, they can see going 35 and slowing down a little bit, but they thought 25 was too slow. But the people did go 35 or slow down for a while. But of course, there must be, 20, 50 times the traffic that there was back 10 years ago. In my opinion, and this is a question, Mr. Hightower, widening the road, wouldn't that make people go faster and make it more dangerous? And my question is the stretch from, I guess, Lanes Run Creek, especially right before Village Boulevard heading west, there's really no place to widen it. I mean, I'm only 30 feet from the road. There's apartment buildings that are probably 40 feet from the road on the other side. What are you going to do? Just condemn our properties because you're widening the road for things to go faster? I just don't see how anything but enforcement. And the reason I reached out to these meetings is on the July meeting, I happen to view, every once in a while I view them, and Miss Tackett, they were talking about speeding in general all over. And she said, no matter what you do, enforcement's the only thing that's going to work. Give them a ticket, hit them in their wallet, and they'll slow down. And I don't know if I'm not quoting her, but that's similar to what she said. That it's confirmed if you look at the video, and that's all that's going to work. I don't think lowering the speed limit is really going to work. It might, if you have enforcement with it, then people get an expensive ticket and they'll start thinking about it. But the attitude of drivers, I mean, Georgetown hasn't had any traffic enforcement, in my opinion, since I've lived here, and definitely not the last 10 years. I'd say a lot of these young drivers grew up with their parents driving. You can go over to Georgetown and you guys know it. Nobody seems to know what a stop sign is. Nobody seems to know what a turn signal is, or tailgating. It's a joke. And I think a lot of it has to do with the way people were raised. They're just used to it because it's been going on so long. So why can't we make an effort? And the reason I'm stating this, I have lived in communities in my life. My previous work took me all over the country. I've lived in communities the same size of Georgetown. Now, some of these are out west, some are up in the northeastern area, but these are smaller communities with smaller police forces, and you didn't drive like this, or you will get a ticket. And so why can't Georgetown do that, or why can't we at least make it safe?
Well,
and
Mr. Griffin,
I don't know, man. I mean, it's just, I cannot believe you've had these speed billboards out and you don't even know how fast. I've been taking pictures. Once Lieutenant Liddell pretty much indicated there was no way to record the speed people are going, I've got all kinds of pictures and video I can see of people going 55, 56, 49. I mean, and I've got license plate numbers too, but of course we don't do anything like enforcement with a camera like other communities do around the country. But
there again, with the cameras that other communities have, the speed trailers that we have are not near that capability.
We had one at one time, I know for a fact, back when the speed limit was raised to 20 to 35, because Mr. Larson said that actually it was Chief Reeves. They said only one person went over 25 when they had that speed rate thing out for like 2 or 3 weeks. One vehicle. And that was one of the reasons that they weren't going to, they said they shouldn't raise the speed limit because it didn't meet that 85% criteria. And then somebody at the meeting spoke up, oh, we should have gone faster instead of slow down before we got to it. I mean, come on, guys. I mean, you had one. I mean, it's just one excuse. And here you're already talking about what can we do for 62? I don't really see, you don't say widen 62. You say enforcement, send people out there.
Well, what we will do is Mr. Hightower will look at it. I will get with him, and I'll also speak with Ms. Tackett because she is the chair. I'm just sitting in as the chair today, and we will be on next month, and we'll bring this back up and see, between now and then, and see if there's some other remedies that we can come up with, and go from there. So.
Good.
Mr. Griffin, I have a question. This is Kitty.
Yes, ma'am.
What is your address so I can put it in my minutes? I should know it by now, but
I guess I guess a public meeting. Okay, why not? I've had enough vandalism. I'm afraid almost to give it out anymore. 1094.
All right.
So, but just if I could just close with one more statement, I'll let y'all go. Just from experience on Old Oxford and other places, but just what I've seen, and I'm not just talking about recently retired Lieutenant Whitaker, but when he was a sergeant, but other times there have been a couple little times where the police department did send people out. Oh, one day at 9 in the morning or 7 in the morning, one day at 5 or 6 in the evening, one day at 3 in the afternoon, maybe a little on the weekend here and there during the week. Hey, come on, kids. And excuse my dogs. And you know what? When they actually did a little saturation, just every once in a while, people weren't sure. So people slowed down a little bit, but then there was no enforcement, off to the races. And I'm telling you what, I'd love if y'all be interested in some of these pictures and video to see how fast people are going. It's really amazing that people just, I mean, and they're going right past the thing. They know it's there. And I've had people they gun it. Of course, like I say, they think laying on a horn will make it not work or revving their engines. It's got to be safety, harassment, and menacing. And I would appreciate if something we get done. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, ladies.
All right.
What,
Thank you, sir.
real quick, what are the hours that you feel are the biggest? You said when they're sending them out through the day, that's not, is it?
Well, I mean, it's all the time, but I'm looking out my front door now, and I don't have a speed billboard. I mean, I'm not hearing it, but I guarantee people are going flying through here now. Think about it. People,
no, that's fine. I just wondered
they're going to work. They're going into work in the morning. So I'd say between anywhere 5 in the morning, 12 to traffic, but really 7, 8, 8:30 in the morning, 9, maybe starting at 3 in the afternoon up through 5 or 6. I mean, it's like you know what really amazes me too that I never noticed before? When I decided that, okay, they're not going to be recording speed, so I'm going to take some pictures just in case you guys or the newspapers or the TV stations are interested. I noticed how many people are on their phones when they drive by my house. Because see, I'm only when I'm by my fence, I'm only 6, 7 feet from their vehicles. I mean, I'm that close to the road, my house. And I don't know how many people speeding or not, because, a lot of them weren't speeding. The speed billboard's up, I can tell. But they're texting or looking at their phones or going down a little narrow road with no shoulders. All it takes is to go over the center line once. And I mean, sometimes I've counted 10 people in a row on their phones, not talking.
Okay.
It's a joke. Please do something, guys.
We will see what we can do. Also,
thank you.
There have been, I know of at least one fatality out there. It was a young man that got killed on that stretch that you're talking about.
Yeah, that's the reason it was lowered to 25 15 years ago.
It was an issue. So, to say that no one is around that when the speed trailer was put out, when you were talking with Chief Reeves, I was the one that put the speed trailer out there then.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, that one did record. At least that's what they stated at the traffic committee meeting. Yeah.
I know the police department does a great job. I worked with these two guys, and they will do their very best to accommodate and try to help as much as possible when call volume is not at just they're running from call to call to call. So if they can get somebody out there, they will. If not, they'll get them there as soon as they can. So just bear with us. And
the responsibility ultimately comes down to the city and the taxpayers to want to have a good, safe, county and city and public safety, and it just needs to happen.
I wholeheartedly agree with you. So, so we'll get with you and let Ms. Tackett and myself and Eddie and Lieutenant Lodel and Officer Christopher, we'll get together and see what we can come up with and hopefully come back next month with something else, some other idea for it. Okay.
Oh, yes. Thank you.
Mr. Griffin,
yes, sir.
Mr. Griffin, this is Eddie real quick. I just want to thank you for coming to the meeting tonight and letting us know about your concerns out there at Old Oxford. And you can call me anytime in my office and get updates, and feel free to do that. Okay. And if you would like to come to a future meeting, just let us know and we'll City
Yes, I can let
Link.
you know if this is going to be brought up at the next meeting. I would definitely be interested in attending. Thank you so much. All right. Y'all have a nice afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next on the agenda is crosswalk timing, 62 at Paris Pike, therefore Rural King.
Whoa, wait a minute. Hang on a second.
Okay,
Well, I was just looking because the way we have it listed from old business, it would have been Copperfield and Island parking. So I'm a little confused.
We're in new business on the
New
agenda.
business.
We haven't done old business yet.
We haven't got down to.
That's right.
It usually
we're-
comes first, but you're okay.
I'm just.
We're on
right
number
down-
5.
down
Number
the
5.
We voted to remove Old Oxford last time, so I put it back on as a new business item.
Okay,
Yeah, we're on number 5.
number 5, crosswalk timing, 62 Paris Pike, there at Rural King.
Yeah, I took that call, and it was a pedestrian related, people walking across 460, and we're asking if the timing may be looked at on the pedestrian cross timing. So I think they're probably getting halfway across and it changes. That's usually how those things go. And I told them that we would discuss it in traffic.
That is a really busy intersection. Everyone knows it, but if anytime we can give them a little extra time, of course, that all come down to Natalia. So
Yeah, there's a formula for that. So, I mean, we can recheck the timing. Also, I know that, we'll take a look and make sure that it's the adequate timing. So how it works is you typically have 7 seconds of just the walk man. And the walking man tells a pedestrian that they can enter the crosswalk. And then the pedestrian clearance time, which is calculated based on walking speed and crossing distance to clear the intersection. That clearance time is calculated, and that's the flashing hand. So once the hand starts flashing, pedestrians should not enter the crosswalk at that time. That's just, standard, driving safety laws and whatever. So, so we can make sure that flashing don't walk time is correct. Obviously this particular intersection doesn't have sidewalks to it or anything like that. So it's a little bit different than the standard intersection where we're calculating these times. So we'll take a look at that and see if it needs to be adjusted any. So it's crossing Paris Pike.
Yes,
Correct.
crossing Paris Pike. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Right there at where the new Rural King store is.
Eddie,
Used to be the old Kmart Plaza.
Does it actually have a button and all that, or is it just a?
That's a good question. I'm going to have to walk out there and check that, Ben. I don't know. I'll go out there and take a look.
Drive through there all the time, and I can't remember if there's any.
It was a pedestrian.
It does have
call.
buttons. It does have
okay.
buttons.
Okay.
And one thing
Thanks.
that may influence us also is there's a barbershop that's opened up right there on the corner where the old bank used to be in the tax place. One part of that is now a barbershop, so you may wind up having a little bit more foot traffic out there as well. So
Okay.
Looking
There is a
on
lot of
Google
foot
Maps
traffic
now.
over there.
Looks like there's a separate pole with a button at the corner, where the bar shop is and the corner where the Rural King is.
There is buttons there.
okay, all right. Well, thank you all. If you can let us know, Natalia.
All right.
All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you, Natalia.
205 North Hamilton handicap parking residential.
Yeah, that's at the building directly behind City Hall, almost the corner of Washington Street and Hamilton. As y'all recall, there were 2 handicap parking places for the apartment buildings on Hamilton there, and we removed those earlier, and then we immediately got a call back from what they call the big house. That's the red apartment building, and there's a lady who lives in one of the in that apartment building, and she's she needs that parking space really. She has some pretty severe disabilities, and she's been parking there for years and years. And the landlord of the building called and asked if we could put that space back up as a handicapped space. And I said, well, let me run it through traffic committee, and I'm sure that, you know, so I wanted to just check with everybody and see if everybody was okay with us putting that sign back up for that space.
She had also came, I think, 3 years ago to traffic committee to get that spot too. That helps out too.
I'm fine with it. So
Okay. We'll
anybody
put the sign back up.
Probably need to make a motion and accept it since you're making a change.
Okay. Do I hear a motion?
I motion we put the handicap sign back up at 205 North Hamilton.
Motion by Brennan. Do I have a
Second.
second? Second by Nick Lodel. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. All opposed? It passes, Eddie. Go ahead and put it back up.
Okay.
Canewood stop sign parking. Tim Thompson.
Hey, that's me. I got an email, I don't know, probably 2 or 3 weeks ago. And this lady had sent something to code enforcement office, and she was asking about parking and stop signs and all these other different things. And I had told her about the traffic committee meetings, and I actually called her today just to follow up with her. Off of the Masters. Y'all hear me?
Yeah.
When you're coming out of that court, there's a stop sign, and then when you go right, turning up to Muirfield, going toward Masters. She said that there's a lot of times like semis and big trucks and everything parked right there on that right when you're coming out. And when you're trying to take a right coming out of that court, it's kind of got an uphill slope to it. So line of sight isn't that great whenever you have people parking right there. I don't know exactly what we can do about it, but basically it's an issue just where big vehicles are parking there. I drove through the court. There's a lot of big trucks and stuff. So I don't know if there's just a lot of big trucks that's parking through there. She's just having a hard time when she turns right, being able to see.
Is it big? You say big trucks. Is it pickup trucks, dump trucks, semis? What?
I saw pickup trucks today, but she says that there are semis that park there as well. Like just the trucks, obviously, you know. I told her I would drive through there in the middle of the night, you know, kind of like in the evening to see if I can get some pictures of what's there. But outside of putting a, you know, no parking within a, you know, maybe 20 feet off of that stop sign, I don't know what you could do. She said there's a lot of kids out there, and she's just trying to figure out the best way when kids are running through the street and everything, just to make sure that the vehicles can see them when they're coming down Muirfield, but also when they're taking a right coming out of that court, that they can see cars. I don't know. I just told her I'd look into it, and I can drive by later and get some pictures of it, and then maybe send them out to everybody, because it's hard to explain right now just over the phone. But I can when I was coming out of the court, I could see how it could be an issue if big trucks are parking there.
I think it's a KRS statute that you can't park within 20 feet of the stop sign anyway, isn't it, Nick? Or
30 feet. 30 feet.
30 feet.
Now, is that Is that to, I know that's right in front of the stop sign, but is that left and right as well?
Right in front of the stop sign. So if you're approaching the stop sign, you have to park 30 feet back so that way there's no block of visibility depending on the vehicle size vehicle.
Yeah, her issue is right there. You can get to the stop sign easily. It's when you're taking a right. They're parking along that where the stop sign is.
Oh, so you're saying they're parking along the street that does not have a stop sign?
Correct.
I'm sorry,
Yes.
I didn't hear the actual what was the intersection with the thing with Masters? Which one was it?
Double Eagle Court and Muirfield.
So they're parking within the site triangle then, basically.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I did a pretty crappy job explaining it, but I think it's out now. And I don't know, is there something we could post like, no commercial vehicle parking or something like that? Because if it's just normal vehicles, and maybe that it's not a big deal, but she says that there's big trucks that park there. So I'm just going by what she says. There wasn't anything there. It was wide open when I drove up through there. But obviously people are working now too. So I don't know what it looks like in the evenings.
There should be no semis should be parking. Semi trucks or dump trucks should be parking down there on the roadway anyway.
Mm-mm.
But
Should we just monitor the situation and, I'll run out there and take a look at it. And
are you in contact with her?
Yeah, I spoke with her earlier today.
Do you think you could have her just take some pictures of the type of vehicles and where they're at? So maybe you'd maybe send them to Nick and I. We could maybe go from there.
Yeah, I can reach out to her. And actually, when I drove through that court, there's a big black pickup truck too in that court that's got flat tires and everything. So I actually got a hold of Sam White, code enforcement, and got him to reach out to dispatch. So just a vehicle maybe we can red tag too. But it's probably the same people that are doing this. But yeah, I can reach out to her. Her name's Jennifer. I'll reach out to her and get her to send some photos of, when it's the worst, and then see what we can do at that point.
Yeah. And if you ever run into that, feel free to email me. I'm there through the day most of the time, and Nick's covers the afternoon and evening. So I'll personally go out there and red tag and tow them if we've got flat tires and vehicles like that throughout the neighborhoods.
Okay.
I'm guessing something too that will be covered in our new ordinance, which will give us more teeth in being able to go out and address, especially like the semi parking. I know it's a huge gray area for us right now on where that's allowed and where it's not.
Yeah. And this lady says she just moved into the neighborhood. So I don't know if, this is just somebody that complains about certain things, but I don't think that was the case when I spoke with her. She seemed very genuine that she was concerned about the kids, riding their bikes and stuff through there, just having that line of sight so that when people are coming down the road, they can see the kids. When they're turning right, they can see cars coming down. So she seemed very genuine. I'll reach out to her, get her to take some photos and send them out, and then I'll get them to you guys. And then we can, maybe next month, I'll have some more information.
Okay.
Thanks, Tim.
Thanks, Tim.
Yep.
Two-way signs on stop. With this one?
Yeah, that's that one came from David Livingston, and it's that same intersection we've been discussing about doing a four-way stop on. And I believe Brad Penn lives on the corner there. And he asked, could we put up the two-way stop? It's the little tag that's underneath the stop sign.
That's not a thing.
You can't, yeah.
Yeah, and the MUTCD, we don't even put four-way stops anymore. It's supposed to be all-way stop, or sometimes if you can put like a cross traffic does not stop plaque, something like that.
Okay. All right, we'll do some research on that, and and come up. Yeah, I wasn't sure if it met the MUTCD or not. We
They have
didn't have
some
a chance
options
to.
in
We
there.
didn't have a chance to. We didn't have a chance to dig into it real deeply. I wanted to discuss it in the committee first. So.
Yeah, our typical plaque that we use for that situation where you just have like the main line doesn't stop, but you have the side streets that have a stop sign is a cross traffic does not stop plaque, and it's actually a warning. It's a yellow sign, black on yellow. So it's a warning sign. So that kind of also they like that, I feel like, as well, because it stands out a little bit more.
Okay. Yeah, we'll definitely whatever we do out there, we'll comply with the MUTCD standards. So.
Okay. Any other new business?
I have something that, was actually kind of tabulated as, was taken off the list. Last time it was, let's see, the intersection of the bypass and Paynes. The original request was for left turn phasing. So it was taken off the list, but I did look into that intersection because of all the red light running that was occurring. And after doing a lot of structure evaluation and all that, Eddie's familiar with how we have to check the structure, make sure we can add additional weight to the spans and everything. We are working on making some improvements there. So we're going to add double red signal head. So it's a 4-section, but it's, it looks like a T. You've got the double reds at the top and then the yellow and green ball. With reflective back plates for the Paynes Depot approaches, 62 and also the city side Paynes Depot. So both of those approaches. And then if any of the heads don't have reflective back plates, we're going to put on reflective back plates because we're going to have to respan the whole signal anyway to do that and upgrade the weight of the span that's carrying it. One other thing that I noticed reading through all the narratives in the reports was on the city side of Paynes Depot, that there seems to be confusion with which lane you should be in. And I think I haven't gone out to make measurements yet, but I believe it's due to how short of a distance you have. You have just a very short section there where you have 2 through lanes. So the second through lane doesn't start until full width until about, it's only 100 feet. So that's pretty fast when you're coming up to a signal at 45 or 55 miles an hour to figure out which lane you're supposed to be in. So my question was, do you all have this road on your radar at all for resurfacing anytime soon? Or if not, do you know what the structure of the shoulder area there is? Because if
I believe it is actually very wide there. I remember running traffic up there back in the day, and there's actually, if you're talking Paynes Depot going out, like if you're going to go towards the interstate, correct?
Yeah.
There is actually a very, very wide, especially on the outbound. Yeah,
so it's very wide, but part of it's a shoulder. And the problem that we see a lot on our roads is that the shoulder area is actually not built structurally to the same level as the main roadway. It's not built for to carry traffic regularly. So it will deteriorate a lot quicker. It's just meant for traffic to pull over if they need to. So that's the problem on that side that we need to figure out. I mean, if it is built structurally the same as the rest of the road, then that'd be great. That can be something that I can work with you all to, get that restriped. Because it looks, my imagery is a bit outdated from 2018. I haven't driven out there recently to see what the striping looks like, but it does look like the striping is a bit faded. So it'd be pretty easy to, get some plans quickly drawn up and measure it out and mark it out to kind of start those turn lane or those through lanes, pull those back a little bit so that drivers are already established in those lanes and not trying to figure out where they need to be. So that would be the main thing to tackle. And then the second thing is I would actually remove the through arrows. We don't really use through arrows. It's just an additional kind of distraction. People looking at those arrows on the roadway. If there's no arrows, they assume it's either a through, or if it's a right lane, it's a through and a right. So we really only ever mark the left onlys or the right onlys to indicate that it's only for that turning movement. And so that might help clear that up a little bit too on that approach, so that they're focusing on the signal. Because what I read was they're looking at the pavement and then they look up and they're going through the signal on a red. So I think that might be some of the issue there. So so if we can just discuss that, we can discuss that outside of this meeting too, Eddie, if you want to, or whoever.
I can find out what.
Sure. How about if I go ahead, officer.
I'm just curious because, like I said, there is plenty of room for that lane to come way back. But I was curious because I don't know this. How do you figure out the structure of the road, or if it's up to par? Because in all honesty, it looks like it was built all at one time, like it wasn't an added side. But there's literally a car and a half length width, if not two. There's extremely a lot on the right side. On the
right.
So how do you figure out if it's going to hold up or not?
So even if it's done at the same time, when they build up a road, they build it differently on the outside shoulders, outside of the expected driving lanes than they do on the inside. So either we have to try to figure out when it was built, or when it was, redone or whatever, and try to find plans that show what was there, or you core it, you do a core sample. So I'd have to talk to construction about that. I know that they've done some core samples they do core samples on roadways all the time. Now, whether they have the capabilities of doing it themselves or they have to have a contractor do it, I'm not sure. I'd have to get more details, but there is a way to figure out what the structure is.
Are we looking at a way to widen that to be driving on those shoulders now, or is it just to change the approach?
Well, ideally, if the shoulder, there's plenty of width there if you're just looking at blacktop. So if the shoulder, if we can figure out if it's structurally built, to full depth and can handle routine traffic going on it, then it could be something that is just restriped. We could just restripe it. It's your all's road, but I can work with you all and figure out a striping plan and just restripe it to widen those two approach lanes and pull those back a little bit further so that people are established further in advance to getting to that signal. If the shoulder's not built up structurally to that gets a little bit trickier. That would be something that if it was a state road, we would typically try to work that into a resurfacing job. We'd try to say, okay, on this resurfacing job, we're resurfacing this road, but we also want the contractor to rebuild the shoulder to full depth from this point to the intersection. Something like that, for example, just like building up for a turning lane or something like that.
Sounds good. Thanks, Natalie. I'll be probably be in touch with you about this after this meeting.
Okay.
Okay.
I can give a couple updates. I don't know if it's new business, but it's related to the old Oxford. I didn't want to throw it out. It did not really relate to the speeding, but the developer of the subdivision across from Cherry Blossom down there is going to widen Old Oxford from the Village of Lanes Run entrance approximately 2,000 feet. They're going to put in turn lanes and things down just northeast of the bridge and take the widening to the top of the hill. And now I think there's other developers looking at the remainder of the piece that probably will take the widening a little bit farther, maybe another 1,000 feet. Of course, that pointed out that probably does not help with speeding. And I can verify that pulling out of subdivision last week, there was a car that triggered close to 60 on the speed trailer that I witnessed. So that I can verify what's going on. Coming down that straight stretch, they're hitting the bridge, going pretty fast. The other update related to that is the, I guess we call it Price Farm subdivision, but it's Abbey at Old Oxford. That's all the way down on Old Oxford Road. It's the last subdivision down there on the left. The back of that subdivision, it's always meant to be connected over to Pleasant Valley, but they're going to make a connection through Wellesley Way. And those plans were approved, and they'll probably start construction within the next few weeks. So it may be a year before that connection is made, but that will possibly pull traffic off of Old Oxford Road, but it is going to put more traffic through Pleasant Valley as well. Now their construction entrance is initially is going to be off of the Price Farm side, but they do have permission to use the Wellesley connection for traffic at a later date. Any questions on that?
Thanks, Ben. Todd, you're on mute.
So that was just Copperfield. I had about 4 text messages. I apologize. Entrance to Rocky Creek.
Are we on old business now?
Yes.
We're not there yet.
What do you have left?
Well, we haven't done Copperfield. Ben was talking about something on Old Oxford.
Okay. Copperfield, then island parking. I apologize.
No, it's fine.
We're monitoring that situation. That's the old business. I think what we figured out is a lot of those are day labor construction workers who maybe aren't obeying the parking rules like they should. Mm-hmm. So we're just keeping an eye on that.
I think one of the things in the last meeting we talked about with that were those city owned, or was it something that was not city owned, if I remember correctly? Because they were trying to figure out if we could enforce any type of parking there.
Yeah.
There's parking spaces in the cul-de-sac in the island. Is that correct?
Right. So that we were trying to figure out if that was city or something that the developer had put in there in the last meeting.
Correct.
Yeah. I don't know the answer to that off the top of my head. I know what you're talking about. I imagine they probably are city owned. If they're in that center island, they probably are part of the right of way of the road. I'll check in on that. I'll verify that between now and the next one.
Okay. Entrance lights, Rocky Creek Farms and Creek.
That's pretty well done. It's going to get removed off the agenda. I think it probably shouldn't have been on this one, but that's a situation where the lights are kind of the way they are. I mean, if we were to have to add more lights, it would be a whole separate project, and it's just one of those areas that isn't as well lit as some of the others.
Okay.
They have plans. I think we're just waiting on a cost estimate to see if we can bring it for the council. But yeah, do we want to remove that?
It'd have to be a whole other project.
Okay. Do we want to remove this or leave it on there?
Well, it said on the, I think we ought to take it off.
Okay. We'll remove that one from the agenda. And if we need to, we can put it back, always put it back on.
Sure.
Connector access road, private or stop signs on private property.
They want us to put a stop sign by Starbucks in that access road, which is not a city road. Technically, it's actually an access road that's the city does not maintain. If we decided as a committee to put a stop sign up, I'd be happy to have it done and make sure it gets done. It's really up to the committee to, but it is not a city street.
And that would open.
It'd be the access right over by Starbucks. Yeah.
Do we have any liability on that if something happened, if we put something up, or?
Potentially, yes. You know, and if you put that one up there, how many other places are going to say, well, you did it for them, do it for us. So,
just to throw something out there, just curiosity, do we have any liability if we don't put it up, as far as being made aware of a situation? And is that something that we just need to contact the developer or whoever it is and say, these issues have been brought to our attention, we need you all to do this? I mean, is that just curious?
That's, are we talking right there in front of Starbucks?
Yes.
That is my opinion, and I'm not usually one to put signs up or when you don't need to, but that is a bad spot because Starbucks is so busy. But the worst thing is that's a bad little outlet there anyway, that we run into a lot of accidents, but we are getting people where they're not only waiting to go to Starbucks, but so they're just more or less flooding the intersection with just trying to get there first, and it's actually messing with traffic. I would say that a stop sign's they're probably needed.
Can you require the developer to go back in and correct that?
There would really not be, this connector road has been there since, or not connector road, the service road is prior to, so it's, this service road's really, everybody using it is the developer, is responsibility for it. So.
Could the state look at that access point and close that access point off?
They just added turn lanes into that access point. So are they requesting?
They're requesting the city to put in a stop sign there.
Who does it belong to? Would be the question we would ask.
Whatever corporate real estate group owns the property and owns the development. It'd be the landlord. Yeah, it's a private road.
Then it would be our take on things like that is it's responsibility of the owner of that roadway to put up and maintain signs.
Yeah.
If I may, and I'm not an engineer or anything like that, but the total fix of the problem would be to cut that access to Connector Road off there in front of Starbucks. And they would either have to enter in front of the gas station at the stoplight where Lowe's and Kohl's entrance is, or at McDonald's. And because that's an intersection that we have a lot of accidents tending from people pulling out. The barrier that you guys have put up there has actually greatly made things better. But like, honestly, just shutting that access point off, there's so much business now there, especially with the new Planet Fitness going in. It needs, that would be my opinion, but I'm not an engineer or anything. I'm just saying from a cop's view.
Right. That would also be something we'd want, like city support to shut something like that off, install. I mean, like was said, we already resurfaced that road, and
Yeah.
since everyone was in agreement, including the city, we did shut off that Oxford access point. To shut off additional access points would, we would want, city. I think we would need city support, and I don't know exactly how we would go about doing that at this point. We were able to do the other one too because we tacked it on to a project. This one might be a little bit more difficult to do because to fully close off that access without affecting Blossom Park, that would be something where you'd have to take that stub out. It's not something where I could just go in and put a quick curb or something like that, or a no left turn sign, because we know how well that works. People just go around it, or you'd have to close off Blossom Park as well. And I doubt that's going to be a popular idea there.
Yeah.
So do we remember who made this request? Was it somebody from Starbucks or was it elsewhere?
I think it was just somebody who has driven through there a lot and has observed, the problem and asked if we could do something about it.
Yeah.
I have to go back through my notes and figure out who it was. I don't think it was Starbucks. I don't think it was any commercial group like that. It was from the public, general public.
What they're asking for makes sense. If you stop the traffic coming in, because if somebody is coming off of Connector Road, they are not going to be able to stop to allow somebody. They're coming off Connector Road pretty fast, and there's probably somebody behind them. So they can't stop for somebody, and I guess I can imagine what's going on out there. But
yeah.
Well, and I'm not a lawyer, so you'd have to check with lawyers on liability and what the KRS says about private access roads and, and stop signs and things like that. But, there's lots of, I feel like I could go around and there's a lot of private shopping area access points onto roads that don't necessarily have a stop sign there, but it's common knowledge to stop on those minor access points. You'd have to check with the lawyer on what the statutes say about private access points and private drives and stuff like that, or a stub like this that has access to different businesses. I'm not familiar with that. But typically we would find who the owner is of that particular roadway, who maintains it, and have them, or just like we send requests to you all, or you all send forward requests to us, we would forward the request onto the property owner or the owner of the roadway as well.
Okay.
Maybe planning department might know that. Planning division might know.
I'm looking at the old plat. This was built I guess the latest plat is sometime in the 80s. And I think the service road and the connector road were there probably before that. But these little lots there were a couple subdivisions in the 80s. So all it says is that the individual users maintain the service road. So Starbucks would probably be
there might be like some sort of I feel like most shopping areas, don't they have a conglomerate or something, that some sort of business that kind of owns the area and rents out to these shopping areas and things like that.
We could track down through the PPA, the owner of record of that, area over there, and try to contact them. We could do something like that.
Yeah,
Hopefully
because
it'll
do
go-
any of these access points have stop signs? Like, does the gas station do they have a stop sign?
On the PVA, the property lines are on the on the connector road side of the roadway. So it's like an access road for each individual lot that they all share. So it would most likely be the Starbucks that would be the first, what would have to put that up, I would say.
If I remember correctly, there's actually stop signs also down there where we've got a stop light.
Yeah, there is.
There's one going into McDonald's as well, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
There is.
down there by the bank in the intersection.
Yeah, because I mean,
Yeah.
somebody paves this road and somebody ices it, pays somebody to ice it or salt it or paves the, parking lots and things. So must be somebody.
I wouldn't be surprised if the city didn't do the salting and everything, plowing for that road. I mean, it's just that little strip. I would think when this was designed many, many, many years ago, and you had a couple little things on there, it's similar to what's behind Station 2, where you had the car lot and you had that gas station. It's kind of the same deal, but I don't know. I think this is definitely one thing that we need to address in our ordinance that we're putting together. I think just to make sure that moving forward we know what to do. But I think the thing that I would do is just reach out to Andrew and Devin and say, hey, can we do this? Is there a liability, and just get it put up? Because the thing is, Starbucks probably wouldn't mind doing it, but they might not know that they're the ones that should do it or are supposed to do it or where to get a stop sign or anything.
You've also got the gas station and the McDonald's entrance. None of them have
McDonald's does.
signs. So you can go
It
through all.
doesn't have a stop sign going out on the connector, just on that access road. So,
Mhm.
all right.
Yeah, I think that's the hot spot there on that one, right? Just all the traffic at Starbucks at certain times.
Well, and
let's-
if Devin says you can't do that, then you can get the owner from either PVA or the owner of the business from revenue and figure out who you need to talk to take care of it.
All right. Well, we'll
Okay.
come back and revisit this next month and
Okay.
see
And
if we
I'll
can
get some more information between now and then from everybody. From now and the next meeting.
Okay. Number 13, Royal Springs Welcome Center parking, Lori Saunders.
Yeah, we're kind of watching that. One of the businesses down there is it's not a daycare, but it's some sort of a healthcare related business, but they're getting ready to move out of there. That's what we're hearing, and so the problem may go away when they move their business location, because a lot of it's the traffic from that particular business. So we're hopeful that will be the case. So we're just monitoring the situation right now.
All right. Traffic signal, US 25 Colony Subdivision.
Kind of up to KYTC, I believe.
And one thing that it was discussed last time was as a sightline issue, and it really wasn't a sightline issue that because I'm the one that brought this up, was that the residents have one or two options to get out of there. One is to get out on Cardinal Drive and fight through all that traffic, and the other one was to come out and fight the traffic out on 25. So, I think at one point we were going to look at doing, Natalia, correct me if I'm wrong, but we were going to look at doing a traffic count out there on that survey.
Yeah, we have it on the list, but it's a very long list, so I don't. It might be good just to put it on the tabled list until we can get to it.
That's fine. So that sounds good.
Can we not just for the time being. I know that we got the study and it could take some time, and that's even if they decided to do any, we're able to do something with the light or anything, but can we just not put up some of those black and yellow hazard signs or something like coming down the hill? Or I know we talked about maybe putting like stop ahead or something like that, just to give people that advance warning.
Yeah, and it's really not the people inside. It's more of them just once they get to it's the residents back in there that it's them once they get to the intersection, it's just getting out on 225. The only in the wintertime, obviously that hill is a nightmare for even for the salt trucks to get up and down. But that was the chief complaint about it, was just getting out on 225.
Just getting on 25 itself. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And there was even a discussion about trying to create an entrance out the back, out onto the bypass, and just the sheer amount of money that was going to cost, that they said, oh no, we can't do that. So, but who knows, somebody may come along and want to do that and develop that area. So, well, let's just remove this from now, and if we need to put it back on, once we get the study, then we can go from there. Does that sound good?
Okay.
No parking sign, council recommendation, Jamestown Court.
Those are kind of we're in a holding pattern on those until we get a new traffic ordinance in place.
Well, that
Hickman, Cherry Hill Drive, and the Stables 2 entrance.
Yeah, I think those were all bundled in, but just FYI, that Double Eagle Court that I just talked about with the vehicle that's needs spread tag, it's the same setup as Jamestown. It's got a big grass island in the middle of it, and right now, if we had to get a fire truck down through there, it'd be pretty tough just with that one vehicle broken down. So there's a couple, I guess maybe just within Canewood that's like that.
Okay. Hamilton and Washington Stop Bar, Eddie.
Yeah, I just have to push Robert to get that finished when he has a crew freed up. It's just putting that stop bar down. So we'll get it done. We'll get it done.
460 highway downtown parking modifications.
Yeah, that's going to come if the state lets us. It would come when they repave the 460. The state's going to repave that. Y'all are familiar with that project, so it would come at that time.
That's also
we
with
make
the water company and gas company doing new lines down through there as well.
Yeah, the water company put a new line in, and the gas company too. So they don't have to repave the whole road. They can take advantage of that project and get the utilities upgraded as they need to. Yeah, so they've gotten ahead of that, which is good.
Okay.
So where are you all at on that project?
You mean with the bridge?
Yeah.
Everything has been submitted into the federal for funding. So Kim Tompkins with KYTC has approved everything, submitted everything on to KYTC, and they're waiting to get the money released so we can bid the project. So I until they tell me to go ahead, I'm waiting on them to give me that.
Okay, so we don't. Okay, I'll check with construction permits then, because the plan was for you all to do the work, your work first, and then us come in and resurface after.
That's right, and that's yes. Yeah, that's
okay.
It. And
so I have some because I'll work on getting some plans out to you to look over, because I know there were some concerns that Kitty brought up with the pull-in parking and visibility pulling out of some of those homes. So I'll draw up a couple options and send it to you all to look at.
Thank you.
I went out and looked at that, Natalia, too, and I think if you keep the first two spots parallel, maybe, then the diagonal you can begin after that, and it would help that sight distance. But that's how y'all want to do that, I guess, or.
Well, I mean, we typically let the city take care of the parking and make the decision on the parking. We do obviously have the final say, but we try to accommodate what the city wants to do in terms of, okay, so if I'm going to make striping changes here, do we need a left turn lane? Do we not need a left turn lane? Something that's going to eliminate the possibility of having excessive, having the diagonal parking. That would be one option. But if you all would rather have, if there's no need for a left turn lane or anything like that, you all would rather have the diagonal parking in that empty space, which is currently there existing anyhow, then that's kind of, leaving it up to you all.
I would think
I'll
if
draw up
you
a
do
couple of
diagonal
options.
in front, all the up to Mulberry, but then Mulberry forward, there's like two spots that I think need to remain parallel, just given the location of like where the pub sits in relation to the driveway of the Hoffmans. And you can't, you can barely see to get out as it is. And if you extend that even further, that's going to make a lot of problems. So I think probably putting it in front of planning and zoning, you would probably get maybe one additional parking spot. But I think that Mulberry cutoff is pretty much the parallel parking where that's always started.
Oh, okay. I see. I thought it was on the other side on the east side.
Not full parking on the other side. Those people don't have driveways in front of the church.
Yes, the south.
I'm not following there. I mean, it would just be, isn't the tavern on the east side of the far side from downtown across Mulberry? It's on 460. So that's on that side is where you all are wanting to do the additional pull-in parking, but the rest of 460 would remain the parallel parking. So essentially what would happen is I wouldn't really change any striping. The only thing I was going to do is add an edge line in, and that would kind of, it'll look a little bit odd. It's not impossible. It'll just look a little bit odd. I'll draw it up and show some examples.
Can you show that edge line going all the way down residential?
Yeah.
Because I think that would, when we talk about slowing the traffic down, and Nick's had the traffic trailer out there, I think that visual that it is not 4 lanes, it is 2. If that's the parking area, I think would make a big difference in the speed.
Yeah, I would reduce it to, I think isn't it 35 through here? So I would make sure the lanes are marked at 10 feet. So that's the smallest that we would mark. So it would, make it kind of tighter. Obviously they're just lines on the pavement. So sometimes it has some effect on speed. Sometimes it doesn't compared to wide open spaces. I think what helps the most is, having physical obstructions. Like if you constantly have cars parked up and down, then that's, like more likely to slow people down than wide open pavement. But if you don't always have cars there, the next best thing could be to, just tighten up those driving lanes with edge lines. But just at Mulberry Street, you would have parallel parking for most of it, and then you would have a bit of an odd tie-in to a couple diagonal spots right there at the very end. But I'll drop a few options, and we can see how it looks.
All right, thanks, Natalia.
Up to there.
Potential for our nation was boundless as long as we put America first.
He's everywhere.
I can't.
I'm not putting that in the minutes.
Thank you.
Okay. Ready to move on to the next one, Todd?
You only have two. Stop sign.
Sorry about that. When you remember that you had it muted. Seminole, Hutchins, and Copperfield stop signs.
Yeah,
we've had that on hold for a while. I guess we're kind of starting to get back into swing of things now. But I'm not sure if everything's back, if we need to wait on that or not.
Eddie,
Yeah.
any? I know
Well,
we've
that's
been this long. I mean,
that's been, yeah, we've been sort of waiting on that. That project hasn't moved because we've been waiting. Some people think, well, there's not as much traffic because nobody's, the whole shutdowns, and we wanted to get better traffic counts and that kind of thing. So we've been sort of just waiting, and we left it on there just as a reminder so the project doesn't get lost. So
okay. And then the last one is traffic ordinances delayed due to the COVID, which that's understandable. So we'll just keep that one on there. And then our next meeting is February 16th, 2021 at 4:30 in the afternoon via Zoom. Hope to see everyone there.
There's a Tuesday again.
So
thank you, Todd.
All right, you all have a great day.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Motion